Welcome. I see James bopping his head through the.
I want to start rapping.
It's a nice track, isn't it?
It is. It's super chill.
It's my favorite track from all the videos we've done. So I put it for the jam session. Welcome to the jam, everyone. My name is Lev. I got Dawn and James and our very, very special guest for today, Miss Amanda from Kuma Crafts. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Oh, thank you so much. We're very glad to have you because we've been definitely following your Instagram for quite some time, and I'm just gonna pull it up quickly here. So Amanda has a very cool business model, definitely very unique. Unique product, I think. One of the more unique ones I've ever seen done with a laser. So we'll ask Amanda some questions for today, find out more about her business, and actually she sent us some questions that she's going to ask us that we'd love to answer. If you guys are in the chat, say hello. Hey, Amy. Always nice to see you. Amy, our regular designer on the Rayjet Challenge. Hey, Rita, thanks so much for joining us. So yeah, tell us where you're from. Say hello in the chat. Ask Amanda any questions because this is a great opportunity to talk to a real business owner, real laser user. I asked Amanda, like, oh, any plans for this weekend? She said, oh, I'm just going to do some laser stuff. So that's awesome. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you again. If you want to give us maybe a quick introduction about yourself, about Kuma Crafts, and I'm just going to kind of browse through, show people pictures as you kind of give us a description.
All right. So I make laser cut jewelry and mainly brooches, necklaces, earrings, stuff like that. Yeah, those. On my Instagram right now, I've been experimenting with some new designs. So I've been laser cutting with my Trotec for about 5 years.
And which Trotec do you have? Sorry,
I have a 60-watt Speedy 300.
300. Awesome.
Good choice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice. I probably would have been okay with a Rayjet, but I went a little bigger.
You went for the big guys.
Yeah.
Actually,
nice
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying it's nice when I have those huge orders that I have to like cut like a entire sheet at a time, like a 12 by 24 inch sheet. So it's great for that.
That's actually a good question. I mean, we can get right into it. Why did you go with the 300 versus, like you said, you could have used a Rayjet, a small machine?
I had some friends who had a Rayjet, and like I've seen it in action, and like it's a great machine, but it's a little on the slower side. And I guess it's great for someone with a smaller business, but I was planning to like go bigger, and it also gives me flexibility to take on bigger jobs, and also I like that there was some upgrades that I can get later on with the camera and. Yeah, sorry, I forgot what exactly all the upgrades are called that are available for it.
No worries.
Whatever setup you've got on the laser right now is working well because your posts on Instagram are baffling. Like they are unbelievable. They are what we wish we could accomplish in 1 hour on Wednesdays and yet realize there's no way that's ever going to happen.
One thing I really like, Amanda, is on all your designs, you're using 2D engraving on a lot of parts, and you make them. You trick me into thinking that they're curved, smooth, rounded 3D, 3D printed objects. And that's one thing that I really admire about your stuff. I spent quite a while looking at all your designs, and I gotta say, they're like just out of this world. How did you get to that point where you're creating these 2D objects to make them look 3D? Like at what point did you say, hey, if I bend this line, like, is this something you learned or just did over time?
I think it's just something that happened over time, really.
Mm-hmm.
I was creating more like flat pieces up until the point I got my own laser cutter, and because before I was just making vector files and then outsourcing it to another company to do all the cutting. And once I got my own machine, that's when I started having fun with it, and
Mm-hmm.
I just started experimenting.
Well, when did you actually start the business? I mean, was it a while before you got the laser?
Yeah, it was a while before I got the laser. In 2010, I opened my Etsy shop where I sold items that were made from like beads and resin pieces that were manufactured by other people. And it wasn't like unique enough for me. Like, I was using components that anyone else could buy to make jewelry. And then I started being like, okay, how are things made? Because I completely had no idea like about laser cutters or like anything about manufacturing. So then, and I started seeing other people on Etsy pop up who had like simple, like one layer laser cut necklaces, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. How did they make that? And yeah,
and that's how you kind of found out about the laser cutters. Was it just general research?
Yeah, it was just research. Yeah, I didn't go to school for it or anything. It was just through research.
Can I interject too? I forgive me, I don't mean to interrupt. One thing I think that is so predominant with Amanda's designs, and we're fortunate to get to speak to a lot of really talented customers, and yet nowhere near all the talented customers Trotec has, of course. But like one thing that I would mention to any new business that is thinking about entering a marketplace like this, or I think about Thomas when we interviewed him a few weeks ago, the Chantourneur, is how much of their own personal style is able to come across in the object. That like the sort of otaku and anime space is like very heavily occupied, but at the same time that like you can really tell that Amanda does something really special with her pieces. Like they almost looked like it's just the level of detail. I'm gonna gush a little bit, but like the level of detail is off the charts, and I sort of think that like that probably I want to ask Amanda, but that probably comes from a place of like passion for the subject matter and passion for the work she's doing. And so it's like it's something to aspire, not to certainly look at what Amanda does and try and do the same thing, but to try and figure out what it is about your interest that you can sort of bring across uniquely in your work. Because like I could never do this, but it does inspire me to try and do what I do a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I see a lot of other people using their laser cutters to make a whole bunch of different projects, and like sometimes I'll see a new technique and it'll inspire me. Like I won't copy that person's item directly, but still get inspiration from everyone. Like,
exactly.
And how long does it take you to, come up with a new design? Like even something like this, we're looking at your website here. How long would the experimentation, the concept? Can you kind of walk us through the designs from the design stage to kind of the finished product? How long does it take? How do you even price it, essentially?
Oh God, yeah, that's a big question.
Yes, sorry.
And it's like I don't have like a formula or anything. Like I have a sketchbook with a bunch of designs that, like I'll roughly draw. And like I'll have something sitting in my sketchbook that I spent like maybe 10 to 30 minutes sketching. And then maybe months later down the line, I'll finally decide to take that and make it into a laser cut item. I've been timing myself to try to figure out the answer to this question. So once I have a sketch, I'll spend maybe like an hour to 2 hours making a vector file for it. And then I'll go to cut it, and that doesn't take very long. But I can spend several hours just like cutting prototypes and reworking the vector file just to finally get it to a place where I'm happy with it. Like sometimes I experiment by adding more layers, and sometimes the item just is hideous and it doesn't work out. But yeah, if I'm really dedicated, I can do something in a day where like I'll sketch out something and vectorize it, cut it, and get a finished product within
a day.
About a day. Yeah.
Wow. So is it like a business day, or is that 24 hours usually? Like I'm guessing you work nights on this.
Maybe I would say 12 hours.
Wow.
Probably. But in between that, like I'm doing other things. I'm like taking care of my son, or like doing stuff around the house. Like, so
that's another thing I wanted to ask.
Not
so like all of this is from home. The business is entirely from home. Wow.
Yeah. I have my Trotec in my little workspace in my garage, and it's great. Like I have a mini factory, micro factory.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We got a question from Adrian, actually. And guys, I want to remind you, if you have questions for Amanda, just list them in the chat. We'd love to ask her about it. What materials are these made from? They look amazing. So thank you for that. But yeah, definitely. I mean, if you could tell us a bit about the material. Not all of these are obviously Trotec materials.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to go into other brands, but I mean, is it mostly acrylic? Is it mostly plastics? I mean, even these, like this moon, I mean, obviously you would order that from somewhere as well, right?
Oh yeah. So I use mostly acrylic sheets, some of them from Trotec, and I use Swarovski crystals, which I order in bulk from a distributor. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what sets me apart from other people. Like, I don't know what possessed me to put crystals and plastic together. Well, I know there's some other fashion designers who do something similar, but
so these are all the crystals we see there are Swarovski crystals.
Yeah.
Wow,
so cool.
Yeah,
amazing.
I know what Lev's wife is getting for Christmas.
My wife does like Swarovski. That's why I know. That's pretty cool. Well, they're both Austrian companies, right? Us and Swarovski. Yeah. So there we go. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, okay. And did yeah, go ahead, Don. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, so you mentioned when you were talking about your process that you actually start with a sketchbook, and I sort of suspected that might be the case. Are these like hand illustrations prior to becoming like 3D objects?
Oh, yep.
And like, what is that transition period like from a 2D illustration to a 3D object? Like, there's got to be a lot of sort of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into trying to figure out, this looks great. Now, how do I make it work?
I don't know. It's when I'm sketching it in my book, like I already have an idea about how it's gonna look in 3D. And sometimes I'll draw like a side view of whatever I want to make. Like like a
3D turnaround, like an animation almost idea.
Yeah,
a turnaround of the objects. You can see it from all the sides and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of sketch it out, and I generally have a good idea of what I'm aiming for. That's a really nice video there. my husband made this video, so
so is that,
I haven't looked at it in a while.
So how did you make this one? For example, was that obviously an LED light? Was that like just from a distributor, or did you get it retail, like from Amazon or something like that? I don't know. I don't want to. If you're uncomfortable with any trade secrets, that's no problem. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my husband, he did the electronic parts of that, and I did all the laser cutting. So yeah, he did the hard part.
Wow.
But yeah, he got the LED from and other electronic components from, I think, a place like DigiKey. I don't know if you've heard of them. But,
No, DigiKey? No.
Yeah, DigiKey. They sell like a whole bunch of electronic components to make anything really.
Cool.
And also we have inside of that we have like a little PCB board. Hopefully I'm calling
PCB
it
board.
right. Yeah. And my husband actually used the Trotec to make that. But it was a very like cumbersome process because we only have the CO2 laser.
So did he outsource for a fiber?
No.
He did it with a CO2?
Yeah, we did
Really?
it. He spray paint. There was a whole process like.
I know he probably sprayed it and then engraved away where he wanted the trace or where he didn't want the traces, and then put muriatic acid or some sort of
acid. That's exactly it. Yeah,
I've done that before. Yeah, it's very very good way of doing it. Although I hate using acid for making PCBs. It's imaginative and good use of what technology you have for sure. Best way to make them on a laser is with a fiber. Fiber though.
Yeah, Amanda, did you know that you can like engrave directly on the copper to make a PCB board with the fiber laser?
Yeah, we did know that, but like we started doing this like after we had our laser, like we didn't plan for we didn't have a need for the fiber laser at the time.
Well, if you're ever interested, you can always upgrade to the Flex. By the way, if you can always add an extra fiber source if you have a CO2 laser at the moment. Just throwing it out there into the universe.
Yeah. So my Speedy I can just add the fiber component to it, and or do I have to get a whole new machine?
No, you can add it right to that Speedy 300.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's something I'll consider if we want to do more of this, the light up stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how is that selling versus the other products? I mean, I noticed obviously it's more expensive because it's obviously a lot more work. How do you? Oh, it's sold out. So never mind.
It's sold out. It's sold out.
This tells us something.
Yes. Yeah, it sells really well. We just took it out of stock for the time being because the last few times we tried to make the PCBs, they came out like all misaligned. Because after you do the acid part, you have to put it back into the laser, and I don't know what happened, but
I see. Well, I know you're in Newmarket, so you're not too far from our office in Mississauga. If you ever want to come down and experiment with our fiber laser, you can definitely do so. We'd be happy to accommodate you. So
okay, cool.
By any means, just let Mike know, and we'd love to accommodate you. There's a couple of questions here. One is from Amy. I wanted to ask, some of her designs are like Sailor Moon inspired. Did she need the license or something to sell? That's a great question.
Yeah. No. I mean, technically, yeah, you should. I'm trying to move away from that and focus more on my own designs. But yeah, in the anime community, there is a lot of fan art, and we're kind of all doing it without licenses. And
yeah, we have a company called Chinook Crafts out in Alberta, and they do all their stuff is fan art, and they have a huge business also doing it wasn't Sailor Moon, I don't remember what it was, but it was definitely a lot of anime stuff as well.
I think a lot of the community sort of like because that show is like not really in like active production at this point. I think a lot of the sort of license holders realize that unless somebody's making an exact replica, like unless they're making an animated show, they're not like infringing on the copyright so much as just bringing other people into the fan community, right? Like, oh, this is cool. What is it from? And then on and on and on kind of thing.
Sports teams aside, there's a lot of things that I had a friend who made a video for a certain movie showing all the stunts or a certain TV show, showing all the stunts in this certain TV show, and was selling it at car shows and things like this. And this was on VHS, so this was a long time ago. And
what is VHS?
Yeah, the actors were a little perturbed about this and sent him a note saying, "Hey, please stop." But because he was bringing fandom to that and breathing life back into this old show. Right. The studio backed him and said, "Just keep doing it. We'll back you." So, I mean, it's not right to copyright, folks, but
but I mean, at this point, we're not like I would say. I mean, we're not using the exact logo. First of all, like the logo is trademarked and copyrighted. If you're doing a variation of that, that could very well be in the realm of fan art and reselling. So I think that's why I don't think you got any letters from Sailor Moon Studios in Japan.
Well, that'd be awesome, though, wouldn't it?
I will say that, like, and Miguel and I should probably mention this more frequently on Wednesdays because we talk so much about Etsy, but just realize that, like, anytime you are using something from a copyrighted license, you are running that risk that you may one day receive a letter. So just like go into it with that knowledge. There are plenty of people who do it, but just, realize that you are running a risk that at some point somebody could say, hey, that super successful product you have, like this one, and this one, we're going to need to chat about those.
Well, James's friend actually copied, like he took the actual thing. I mean, in this particular instance, I would say it's not a UV print of Sailor Moon from the Sailor Moon show. I can't believe I know that, but yeah.
I had but there was another guy who based his entire business off of a word you're not supposed to use from the real estate industry. Sorry, from the real estate industry, and he built a huge business and they tore it down. And it just his business died after that. So I mean, you go into it risking. He didn't realize that word was a no, and he lost it all.
Wow. What was that word?
What was it?
I'm not gonna say.
Gosh, it's like the ring. It's like
I'll be giving away who the person is. So.
Oh, okay. No worries. We got from LaserTech Botswana. Hey, Jovan, thanks for watching. Do you ever get custom design requests? And if so, how do you transfer the customer's idea to the Trotec? Do they send you a PDF or just hand drawing, which you vectorize, etc.? That's a really great question, Amanda. What do you do with custom design requests, and how often do you get them?
Actually, I do get quite a bit of custom design requests, but I haven't been taking many of them on. I'm more into pumping out my own designs, but this is definitely a space where I want to get more into, like, accepting custom orders and pricing. That's something I'm kind of having trouble with. Right now I'll get like a large order for like an item that I've already designed, and they'll want it in like a specific color combination that I don't carry. So that's the extent of which I do custom work now.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, when they send you a request,
when they send me a request, a lot of them don't have a drawing at all. They just have like a description that they tape up of something they want, and that's challenging for me.
Because I know there's like these businesses where you send them like your pet's picture, and they like an artist actually draws it. So I don't know if, like, even for like in this case, we have a pet on there. So would they say, can you make me like I personally have a corgi. So if I go to you and I'm like, well, can you make me a corgi? I mean, how much would that even cost if I wanted like a corgi pendant?
I would probably charge $150 probably, because I have to vectorize it. You know,
That's
Amanda,
pretty. I wouldn't even say that's too high. I mean, like
I wouldn't either. I would have guessed $200 for a single part.
Amanda's in a tough spot that a lot of artists find themselves in, I think, which is like when you get a certain level of notoriety and people want to come to you with commissions, how do you find that balance between like your time and also like, you know, people are coming to you because they like your work, so you have that sort of cachet built in, but then at the same time, you know, you want to make it worth your while as like a business person, right? Also, you have the unique sort of stipulation that, like you sent us a great email yesterday, I believe, where you were talking about trying to replace a particular material that like the manufacturer no longer makes. Like, so, you know, Photoshop isn't just going to suddenly stop being made. You know, like they're not going to stop making pencils and paper and paint or whatever. But like, if somebody stops producing this red acrylic, well, now Amanda's like in a really unique bind. Right? She's got to find like this like adorable crab is not going to dance in any art if she can't find that soft color. So like that is kind of a unique thing, right? If somebody wants a corgi, but nobody at the moment is selling like gold or brown acrylic or whatever, right? Like
orange,
that's a tricky thing, right? No, he's solid gold. I love your corgi, sweet, but I will ask too, just as like from a consumable standpoint, is that something that you ever worry about? Because I mean, you're in a position where, because your designs are so intricate, you are combining a lot of different materials. Have you ever been forced to sort of tap dance and like improvise and kind of just make something work? Or
sometimes. Or like yesterday when I sent that email about the cream colored acrylic, like that was discontinued. And it has like a nice matte surface. So I've had other acrylics that were also matte that were like discontinued, and I had like a similar color but glossy, and I had to like sand it to try to get it to look the same. So I have to do some improvising like that, or just spend all night trying, like looking online, hunting for that perfect color to replace something.
Wow.
That's a large amount of time that, you know, people don't consider, like how much time you'll spend looking for unique materials, because it gets a bit boring using the same black, blue, and red, and you know, the standard colors.
I can really empathize too, because I've done some of those late night searches with like it's not quite the right blue.
I know.
I was going to ask
sometimes I have to. Sometimes I have, you know, when getting somebody involved in a laser, they're saying, well, you know, this is what I use for my product now, and it's not, you know, a laserable product, or it's a you know, dangerous product to use in the laser. I have to come up with something that's going to work for them at their price range. So I totally know the feeling of sitting there, you know, spending countless hours searching the internet to try to find a material that's going to work for them, sending away for samples, and like, you know, it takes a long time, and it does add you know, to your bottom line, because you are using that time. Your time is worth a lot, especially since you're a fantastic artist, right?
I also have.
Go ahead, Amanda. Sorry.
I was gonna also mention I have like the same problem with the Swarovski crystals. Like sometimes they'll discontinue, like a crystal that I use in a popular item, and then that's like irreplaceable. Like there's no other manufacturer that can, you know, make the same part, and it's like, oh, it's so frustrating.
I was going to ask you about the Swarovski actually. Do you, like right here? I see it's in the description. But I mean, when you put it on social media or Instagram, can you, if you get it from a distributor, can you use their logo because you're reselling their crystals? Like, you know, even somewhere on the image saying made with Swarovski crystal, kind of put it front and center. Or is that?
I believe I can do that. I haven't gotten around to doing that. Yeah, they have a specific logo and stuff you can use on your items, and as long as you're not mixing any other brands of crystal on your pieces, you can advertise. But yeah, I don't put that front and center, and perhaps I probably should.
That was my first thing, because I didn't even know they were. I mean, I've been following you for a while on Instagram. I didn't even know they were Swarovski until you just said it. So definitely, if you want any marketing advice from us, I would definitely put a little Swarovski logo here, like on every photo, to advertise. Because I mean, it's a really good to be associated with that brand.
Every photo. Oh no!
Yeah, I know.
And Don's gonna do all the work.
He is, yeah.
Well, that's every photo.
Yeah, that's
maybe I can write a script or something that will do it.
You just witnessed the go-between in the marketing department at Trotec. Like, can you put this on every photo? No problem, boss.
I know.
Yes, every photo.
I did want to touch really quickly back on, because this was something that I had never heard of, but you mentioned a technique to just sort of sand a gloss-topped acrylic to get a matte finish.
Yeah,
that's actually really cool.
That's really cool, because I've never heard that before. Can I ask, are you just using like a really fine-grained sandpaper? Like, are you, because you said it, so I feel like I can share that secret now. So I want to like,
nice.
How are you doing that one? Yeah.
Oh, top secret sandpaper. Yeah, I use I just use like a 300 grit sandpaper, and
very cool.
Just
so
sand it
James,
by
have
hand.
you ever heard that? Like, if you take a gloss acrylic and you sand it?
Yeah, I mean, I usually do it after engraving, and then we'll take a random, the random, I forget what they're called, like a random rotary sandpaper, that a sander that just sort of moves around in random patterns, and I'll put that, and I usually use a little higher grit, but I mean that's fine, 600 or better, and it really makes a nice matte finish on it. That's what I usually do.
With a rougher sandpaper, you can actually make our Troglass frosted. Just
and you can use an etchant.
Oh.
You'll find you can make any glass frosted if you use sandpaper.
It's true. Yeah, glass as well. Sandblasting works really good too. I mean, you can get cheap sandblasters if all you're doing is a bit of texturing and you're not trying to do any sand carving. You can get cheap desktop sandblasters to sandblast things, and then you can get the edges frosted too.
Cool.
If you spend probably $250 on the sandblasting cabinet and maybe another $1,000 or so on the compressor, as long as you're not doing it all day long, that compressor will last. Ask me how I know. And the sandblasting, a little tiny baby desktop sandblasting cabinet would be great for these small little parts. Then you can get the edges frosted as well.
Cool. Yeah, I'll look into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always looking to expand. Thank you. Yeah, I'm always looking to expand my skill set.
As a woodworker too, I feel like James really is your go-to for that one when it comes to sandblasting and like the grit of sandpaper.
Yes, we very specific 349.
Yes,
sandpaper. I get custom made for every job, of course.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, hand crushed sand.
Yes.
So, I mean, Amanda sent us some questions ahead of time that we'd love to take a look at. So the first one would be tips on preventing burn marks on acrylic, and I'll read the entire question. I don't have this problem with Trotec or Perspex brand acrylic. It usually occurs on light-colored acrylic that has glitter flakes, usually purchased off AliExpress. I recently got some cool new acrylics, but I have no idea how to cut it since it burns badly. Again, not Trotec. I've tried masking both sides of the masking paper, reduce power as much as possible. It still burns, and it's hard to clean the burns off.
Good question.
Well, the first thing is any paper that you're using with your acrylic is acting as a match with the spray paint can acrylic fumes. So you're basically you're spraying out a flammable fume from your acrylic. I mean, acrylic is just solid fuel, and you're releasing this solid fuel into the air. It's mixing with the oxygen in the air. And now you've also added paper. So anytime you have a paper masking on your acrylic, you're actually adding that last little bit of the formula for flame and that spark. So anytime there's paper on your acrylic, anytime there's paper on your like paper flakes or anything, sparkable on your cutting grid, you're going to get those burn marks. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I tried without any masking on it at all, and it was even worse.
Okay. So next then is you have a Speedy 300, and a Speedy 300 has an amazingly a thick steel bed on it, a nice shiny steel bed. What can happen when you're using too much power to cut through your acrylic, and sometimes you want too much power because you want that nice rounded, soft, glossy edge. If you're using too much power to cut through your acrylics or your woods or papers or whatever the other folks out there are doing, on a Speedy 300 and a Speedy 100, there is this fantastically shiny steel bed, and that will create reflections coming off of that bed. So too much power goes through. Now maybe you have 20 or 30 watts passing through your acrylic, bouncing off of the bottom, and now it's reflecting diffused back up into things. Now a diffused beam is not concentrated enough to vaporize the acrylic, but what it does is it starts to create heat. So if there's a lot of stuff on your vector grid, your cutting grid, you're going to start to see burn marks, not from the acrylic, but a lot of times from the reflected the stuff that's on your grid. So you're going to get burns coming back off of the reflection as well.
Okay.
Now that doesn't answer your question between Trotec / Perspex versus some other type of strange plastic. I mean, I can't say what the formulation of some of those acrylics are, especially if you get them really, really cheap. Nothing's free, I say.
I know.
And so why is it cheap? Is it cheap because it's made of, half, I don't even know what.
Newspapers.
Old newspaper that they somehow found a way to make clear. But I can't say the really low cost acrylics versus a quality acrylic is definitely going to make a difference. Usually it's the paper coating, but acrylic should not burn. Acrylic should not light fires if you have a clean surface. And to stop that reflection from the bottom, just put a piece of our black anodized aluminum underneath the cutting grid where you're going to cut, and it will absorb all that reflection. And I bet you're going to stop a lot of those fires. Also, clean your vector grid. A wise sales manager once said, take it to the car wash and spray a little bit of the low pressure tire cleaner on it, rinse it off gently, and it gets nice and clean.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
James, pro tip. Mel Jacinto, everyone.
Slow clap to that. Now your 5-minute rant on acrylic burning.
Oh, I could do a whole show on this, buddy. I could do a whole show.
Not everybody has their laser in their van, James. It's a little trickier to get it to the car wash. No, I think the one other thing I would add, and I'm sure this is something you're already doing, but as James mentioned, I'm sure there are people out there who are maybe kind of newer to the practice, is check online. There will definitely be communities out there dedicated to trying to solve the exact problem that you're having, because other people will have come into it. Whether someone's found a solution for it yet, I suspect that if you haven't, nobody has. But at the same time, there will be people out there certainly trying to solve that same problem. And who knows, somebody might stumble across like some crazy car wash themed solution that will, sort of offer a great problem solver for you. And one other thing Amanda mentions, and Lev is probably headed there before too long, apologize to jump the gun, but talking to distributors like us about the potential of doing a custom color, that this might be something that is only within the realms of a business of a certain size, depending on, however much it ends up costing. And obviously that's all very particular depending on, the size and yada, 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 whatever the color is. But that, as a manufacturer, Trotec can do custom colors easier than a lot of people can. And also that, those vendors that we buy from, typically, we'll select their top 10 colors or their top 5 colors or whatever it is from a line that we think people will like. But there's absolutely a possibility that if there's a certain color you're looking for, that we can get it for you and import it into Canada, say, for example. And obviously there's a cost to that, but that is within our grasp as a big reseller sort of thing.
It's
right?
actually a great point, Don.
Don't hesitate to contact us.
Yeah, Amanda, Don is our consumables manager. So if you were talking about that creme brulee acrylic that you're interested in, like that specific color, if a lot of your jobs, a huge majority, not a huge majority, but there's a big percentage that uses that color, reach out to Don, send him that. He can talk to our guys in Austria,
RDM, actually,
our acrylic manufacturers, and at least they could give you a minimum quantity, saying, okay, well, if you want that specific color, we can do it, but this would be the minimum quantity. So, and not just Amanda, folks around the world, work with us if you have specific colors of acrylic, lamicoid sheets. I mean, Trotec owns ILC, which manufactures the plastic sheets. So we can create any color, not an acrylic necessarily, but with the plastic sheets.
Well, and not to talk, forgive me for talking so much, but I was just going to say, also, don't be scared away that if Amanda sends me an email and then I send her back saying, what's the possibility of being able to get a particular, purple color, and I let her know, and at that time, it's, she's the only person who's asked, so it's going to be really, really expensive. So we have to pass for the time being, whatever it is, right? I'm just saying. But because Amanda sent me that email, now I have that in the back of my mind. And if I get 3 or 4 other emails from other people asking a similar question, now I'm probably going to go to our, HQ and say, hey, can we just carry a purple color like this? Because I can see that there's demand out there, kind of thing, right? So I know for a fact that somebody's going to be interested to kind of pick that up, sort of thing.
We lost Amanda. I think she's having some internet troubles. We'll wait for her to come back. But this is actually a good question, James. I see from Trudy.
I like this question.
We can ask this for Amanda as well. But I think James will be a good person to ask. Oh, she's about to come back.
Yay!
Hey.
You made it.
Hey, Amanda.
Hello.
Okay, awesome. Your internet working better now? Can you hear us? Still having some issues?
I think she's playing the game of freeze. There she is.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda. How's that?
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. We figured it was an internet connection.
Yeah. It literally happens to us on our own show.
On our own show. Yeah. But this was a good question from Trudy. So we'll ask that for James first, and then Amanda, maybe you could chime in on what with this issue. How do you attach 2 transparent pieces of acrylic without glue showing through? So, Mr. James, what do you say to that?
Well, there's 2 ways I normally do it. And the first way is using methylene chloride, which Trotec sells in a product called Dawn.
Dawn?
Fast Bond.
Yes, thank you. Exactly.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I was about to lose my job. Yeah,
I'm a laser consultant. The materials names sometimes.
All I could think of was the cleaning stuff. I couldn't think of what the adhesive stuff.
So methylene chloride. We call it Fast Bond here. And you can get it from Trotec in a couple of different bottles. It's hard to buy out in the world because of the word meth in methylene chloride. Sometimes it's hard to buy in certain areas. Trust me. Ask me how I know. Anyway, you buy small quantities of this. I pour it into a little flat bottom glass petri dish or jar or ashtray or something. And you pick up the part and you dip it perfectly straight into the glass dish. I should show you like and then place it directly on top. You have about a second to get it arranged. So sometimes I use a jig to make sure it's coming straight down. At that point, capillary action is going to take the liquid and spread it completely throughout both totally flat piece. Thank you. Totally flat pieces of acrylic. And that's, if there are some bubbles, you have about a second to press and spin like this, and it should bond completely across the surface. I've gotten good at this over time. It does take some practice, so keep all your little offcuts.
And you'll be able to see right through, like you won't have any.
It's going to look really, really good. It's going to look really good. Yeah. So if you got bubbles, obviously you're going to see a bubble. So get better at doing that by just practicing on your scrap, and by lots of methylene chloride, by lots of fast bond, right? Oh, you're on this side now. Anyway, the other way that I used to do it. Oh,
what is the other way? Because that is not currently available on our web store.
It's not? Okay, sorry everybody. Yeah. Methylene
but I
chloride
will track it down.
Your plastic shop. The other way is there's a silicone glue that I use, and over here in Vancouver we have this stuff called E2000, and it's a really cool silicone glue. It's really clear, and this stuff's so strong you can glue a penny to a piece of glass, and you know, if there's such thing as pennies anymore. Anyway, this stuff, if you can spread it nice and thin over the surface of the acrylic, place the other one on, and again, you kind of rotate the part as you're pressing down. You can get the bubbles out of it pretty quickly. And the good thing about this stuff is it doesn't harden right away. It takes a while. So that's the other way that I do it. Some people will place the parts together and then strap the edges of the acrylic with some kind of a clear tape, and so that way they're not glued; they're just sort of bonded on the sides. That's another way that I've seen people do it.
I would have thought too that things like not rubber cement, but like spray adhesives and stuff, would they work well with acrylics? Because
they're cloudy. Yeah, that's a problem. That's why the only two things that I found that are decent to glue two pieces of clear acrylic together, and it's still not perfect. Like it's still not. None of these things are perfect. Nothing's going to be. Yeah, it's clear.
It's kind of notoriously hard to glue. I mean, it depends on the design also too, but there's the possibility of joining it like in the way that the piece is constructed potentially, or something like that. But yeah, it's sort of
laser can do it too. So folks, there's this cool thing that we have. They're called lasers, and you put two pieces of clear acrylic on top of each other and cut them.
Let me get that video.
Yeah, they're lasers. It's
what do you call it? Acrylic welding?
Acrylic. I know. I call it tro welding. Tro welding. Remember tro welding? So tro welding is a it's the proprietary process name I coined for something patent pending. So you put two pieces of acrylic on top of each other, cut them both at the same time, and because of the action of the downdraft table and a little bit of air compression going through there, we're able to melt the edges of the acrylic together using the laser beam. There's a lot of bits that go along with it, but basically all you have to do is put two pieces of acrylic together, cut them both at the same time. If you're cutting all the way through them, you know that you're gluing them together, and it's a very, very good bond.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you guys can check out this full video. James in the van, just search laser cut acrylic welding Trotec, and you'll find this video. So he's putting two pieces together, he's gluing them, then he's cutting them, and then it's basic. Oh wait, so you're not even gluing them. You're just putting.
No, there's no glue. No glue involved. Yeah, just laser. Laser is the glue of life.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's what his tattoo says.
Want to see?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, James off.
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda, welcome back. It's all good. We were just going off on the glue stuff, but That just sounds bad. But I don't know if do you ever glue two pieces of clear acrylic together by any chance?
I don't do it that much because yeah, it's troublesome. You can get a lot of air bubbles. So I try to plan my design so I don't have to worry about that. But I've watched that video actually by James. It's pretty cool.
See, James should make more.
I definitely am going to.
Yeah, I want to try that out.
And Amanda, I mean, speaking of glue, what do you use? Well, with our materials, we have the 3M adhesive on the back. What do you use for glue with the different acrylics, even with the Swarovski crystals?
For acrylics, I just use the E6000.
Yes.
And it's pretty good. For Swarovski crystals, I buy a 2-part epoxy from them. That's specifically for bonding their crystals, and it works really well on metal, plastics, wood.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm going to go through more of Amanda's questions. Tips for laser foil, and I was going to read this question out. I bought some laser foil, and I'll show you guys in a sec what we mean by laser foil, but I haven't had a chance to experiment much with it. A few times I did try the edges of the foil. The foil started lifting when I peel it away, the negative area. Do you have any tips? I was using the foil on frosted acrylic. It had a similar surface finish to your satin acrylic. How durable is the foil? Should I seal or coat items in epoxy? And then I have coated some tiny foil pieces with UV resin, and it looked kind of neat. I gave them as gifts before I took pictures, unfortunately. So let me show you guys what Amanda means by foil. And James, I don't know if you want to.
I do have some tips.
You'll see it. Go ahead, James.
So, I mean, I have a bunch of pieces that I made in my rookie year, 20-some years ago. And they're still up on the wall as samples with the laser foil. I mean, I've been using this stuff a very, very long time. They have never lifted or turned, and we've taken them down hundreds and hundreds of times for customers to fiddle with. And the big thing is to not use too much power when cutting around them. So you're going to have to take a piece of nice smooth. Like if you're putting it on acrylic, it doesn't. Make sure that you're wiping the acrylic down with some kind of a degreaser, whether it's if you cut some denatured alcohol or something that's not going to hurt the acrylic surface, some way to get grease and fingerprints off. So if you're just pulling the mask off and not touching it, that should be fine. Place your foil on, squeegee it down with something soft so that you're not tearing the surface.
We didn't do it properly in this one. You guys can see we didn't squeegee it, or we didn't. Can you use another piece of acrylic to kind of squeegee it?
It'll break. It'll scratch and break. You've got to have something soft. So I use a felt squeegee from a vinyl sign applications. So if you have a sign supply somewhere, you can get a felt squeegee. And then you use that, and as you're placing it on, you're squeegeeing alongside of it. Usually squeegee from the middle out. Squeegeeing it down is the best way to avoid it from clawing back. The other reason that it's peeling on the edge is because when you're cutting through, the heat, if you're adding too much heat, and I suppose you're probably doing this, you're doing too much power. If you're adding too much heat to it, the foil won't melt as quickly as the adhesive. The adhesive's soft, and it's not as heat resistant as the actual substrate itself. And so what you want to do is make sure that you're just putting enough power to cut through the foil. Then when you weed the foil off, it will stick very, very nicely. You should be weeding it off and just releasing. If you're cutting too much into the material, you're not only adding heat, but you're adding a little bit of smoke and acrylic material into that into that adhesive that's on the laser foil, and that is also becoming a bit of a solvent for the adhesive as well. But if you're just kiss cutting through the material and just scoring the top of your acrylic or your wood, that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
That's what we're seeing in this video right now, just the scoring.
You shouldn't see a ton of smoke coming out. So I assume in this video, well, this video is okay because you're not seeing a ton of dust on top of that piece of wood, a piece of foil. So yeah, I would imagine he did that pretty good there.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser for any residue.
Yeah.
Top of the foil.
I just wanted to quickly mention too that if you go on, say, Amazon or something of that nature, they sell a lot of like window decals and things like that. So you can get those exact squeegees and things that James is referring to on Amazon fairly cheaply as well, if you're looking for a good way to do something like this, because they are really handy to have around, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Amanda also asked us if we're expanding the foil line. Unfortunately, not at this moment. Believe it or not, the foil isn't as popular as we'd like to think. It's a really cool product and application, but it's not. It's not as popular. So
it is also unique to Canada. So I'm afraid, at least at this moment, to my knowledge, it is unique to Canada. So customers who are watching from outside of Canada, I'm afraid you'll have to consult with your local Trotec to see if they can bring it in. But anyone who's watching from Canada, it is absolutely available.
It's because it's made of pure maple syrup.
Yeah. Where is the end of the universe? I'd like to know. So you guys can see in this video. So we used acrylic. This is plastic. We used wood before. Thank you. I think we're going to use this is like also plastic on a rotary. So yeah, foil is an awesome product. We should do more videos with it. We've only done kind of one to feature all of it, but it's right there.
If you're interested in the foil too, the top tip, the gold really is, at least in my personal experience, probably the most successful of all the colors. The red and some of the others have a little bit more transparency to them. So if that's what you're looking for, it does give a really cool effect. But the gold has a really nice opacity that, like you saw in the video, you won't see through it. It just gives like a beautiful kind of gold leaf look.
Mm-hmm. Another question Amanda asked us, I'm interested in printing onto acrylic to make charms, keychains. What upgrades do I need for machine the 60 watt Speedy 300? What printers should I consider? UV printers interest me. Is there a way I can try out a UV printer or even rent one for a short time to see if it's a good fit for my business? Do you have any advice in this area? Can you give me a rough idea on cost, printer cost, speedy upgrade, etc.? So that's a really, really good question. We had a couple of partnerships with Muto and Mamaki. Personally, I find Mamaki a very, very good UV printer, especially for acrylics, especially because it doesn't chip. So, Amanda, I'm not sure if you've seen our Job Control vision camera system, where when you UV print a product, have you ever seen those, by the way, like the videos that we made?
I've seen a few videos of the camera software.
I'll put it up for our audience to see, but it's basically, James, if you want to kind of explain what Job Control Vision is, and I'll pull that up.
Yeah, so what you're going to do is let's say you want to print a photograph of your kitty's face onto a piece of acrylic. You're also going to place around your kitty's face 3 or 4 black dots. These are registration points that the laser will have to read in order to cut exactly around your art. Now, maybe your art is a little bit skewed on the part. Maybe it's rotated a little bit. Maybe it's even scaled. As long as it's scaled across the page, those 4 dots are going to be scaled, skewed, or stretched along with your art. And when you have those skewed and stretched marks on there, the laser and the vision camera will come around, read those black dots, see them there, read those black dots, and it will know exactly how skewed, stretched, or rotated your art is and cut exactly around. You saw very quickly the machine reading those black dots, and now it's cutting around the art perfectly.
It knows exactly where to cut inside the circle. So it's based on the artwork file that's in obviously in the artwork that we've created. So these little circles here, it shows exactly that it's on point and it knows where to cut. So that's really the job control system and the UV printer. So
and it literally doesn't matter where on your bed. Like it can be on the top corners, it can be on the far extents of your bed, even on a very large machine like a SP2000. It can be on the far corners of your bed, and it's still going to be absolutely exact. There will be no, like a zero bleed. You need no bleed with this. You know, there's some camera systems out there that work great, you know, in the middle of the bed, and some, you know, that work for other reasons. But this one here is for pros who really want to do this. It's the ROI on these things is amazingly huge. When you need to print with your UV printer and cut out with a laser, there's no better way of doing it.
Yeah.
Job control vision. Yeah.
So Amanda, as far as for the UV printing, so what I found with the two machines, the Mamaki, when you cut the acrylic that's already been UV printed, it doesn't actually chip away, like the ink doesn't chip away like on some of the other UV printers. Like, so that's why I prefer the Mamaki. There is a Mamaki location in Vaughan. It's their headquarters for Canada. So if you're interested, just get in touch. Send me an email. I can send it off to those guys. They're great, great team.
They're great, really good guys.
You can go there, do some tests. I'm not sure if there's anybody that can actually loan these machines for you, but perhaps they could tell you if their machines are in any kind of maker spaces or fab labs in the area that you can go and rent the machine from.
There could be a lot of Trotec users out in the Toronto area who have 3D printers, and you guys probably know them.
UV printers.
UV printers.
Did I say UV?
You said 3D.
3D.
That's funny. Well, that's probably also true. But there's a lot of Trotec users who have UV printers out there in Toronto who we could have her call, and maybe they can outsource. Maybe she can outsource maybe 5 or 6 sheets. I mean, that's enough to really know whether that is going to work for you.
Yeah.
Perfect. We're at the top of the hour. I know Amanda had a few more questions. We had more questions we wanted to ask you, so it kind of went everywhere. So this was really...
This could have went 3 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 hours easily. So we really, really want to thank you for spending some time with us. I think your products are probably one of the most unique jewelry items I've ever seen done on a laser. So it's awesome that you're down the street. We'd love to do a testimonial video with you someday after COVID is over.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for giving us that hour. I think it's been great for everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you
really
so much.
good. Thank you so much, Amanda. Your designs have inspired me to make better samples.
So check out Amanda on Kuma Crafts on Instagram. Check her out. She has an online shop, kumacrafts.com. And yeah, we'll see you guys with some. Actually, James will be back next week.
Yes.
We're going to do a laser review on the Speedmarker 700. So
Correct.
Looking forward to that. Anyways,
300. But
300. There we go. Yeah. Who's counting? Thanks so much, guys. Thank you,
Okay.
Amanda.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.